a couple weeks ago, Nicole put something out there and asked you guys, hey, what kind of problems, what kind of issues, what kind of questions do you have? And she got so much response that her suggestion was, we just need to do this. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. I haven't seen these, so who knows how this is going to go, okay? Hopefully nobody will ask me, what was it last week? Have I ever had Botox? No, I'm just naturally this hot. What's funny about that? Hopefully we'll be a little bit more business oriented today. Are we more business oriented today?
A little bit.
Okay, so let's go through these and let's try to be, let's see, the goal would be to be transparent, direct, honest, and answer the question. Fair enough? And then when we get through these, if you have questions that haven't been asked, let's dive into that too, okay? So I'm guessing that this comes from like my business as an agent, that perspective. Does most of this come from that?
Some of it, not all of it.
Oh boy, okay. Here we go. Okay, well, let's get started.
Okay, question number 1. How does an agent know when it's time to change or pivot in their business?
Most of the time you don't. Okay, so you hear a lot of this talk now, right? That I think the word that's being, oh, I'm not supposed to move my chair. Rob's going to lose his mind. Sorry. Shift. This is the word that's being thrown around now, right? We're in a market shift. I don't know. Are we? I mean, I hear people say that, but I don't see any evidence of it in our day-to-day lives. Have you guys noticed that all of a sudden people aren't buying anything anymore? I look at the reports, I see your contracts coming in. I don't see any evidence of that. I see record home sales. I see unusually high numbers of multiple offers. I see a lot of clickbait out there of people saying that the market's shifting, the sky is falling, the world is going to end on you. And that stuff never seems to go away. It's just like the talking point for it today is how to get ready for the shift. I don't know that there is going to be a shift. Why? Well, interest rates have doubled since a year ago today. Well, yeah, that's a dramatic way to say it, but I mean, really, 5.5, is that terrible? No. And by the way, I don't think all this has been driven by interest rates. And I kind of think that they can, within reason, do just about anything they want to do with interest rates. I'm not sure it's going to make a difference. Why? I think you're about to see the solutions to higher interest rates coming, adjustable rate mortgages, 40, 50-year term mortgages, and you can go, oh my God, who would do that? What do you care? Manuela, do you give a damn whether your mortgage is 30 years or 40 years?
If I was a consumer, no.
No, you don't. What do you care about?
The payment.
The payment. That's it. I don't think consumers care. I think they care what their monthly payment is. So interest rates, I don't know where they're going to go. If you do, come tell me and let's write a book. A market shift. I think that if I was trying to sell you something, I'd probably be putting out clickbait like that. But we don't see any evidence of it right now. When should you pivot as an agent? Okay, really 2 ways. If what you're doing right now isn't working, then stop doing it. Okay? You might have picked something that's not suited to your skill set or your personality type. Okay? So you might need to pivot out of that because it ain't working. And I would encourage you to come see me and let's talk about it. When markets do turn, when there's evidence of it, then you might pivot. So during the course of my career as an agent, I had to do this a number of times, and I never liked it. I never did it and was happy about it. I did it with a chip on my shoulder. So in the early 90s, like 91, 92, some of you will get a real chuckle out of this. I pivoted and went strictly into a buyer lead generation strategy. I didn't want any listings. I had 40-some listings on the market in early 92, and nobody was showing them, and we weren't getting any offers, and it was just a constant fight with the homeowners all the time. Why isn't my house selling? Your price is too high. And all I did was learn scripts and skills to get people to understand why they needed to bring their list price down. And it was just a fight with them all the time. You didn't want a listing. The only way you could make money in early 92 was buyers. So now, okay, look, we didn't have internet, and Greg's the only person I knew that had a phone, okay? And it was a big bag. Looked like a purse that he carried around. Okay, so no old man, I'll stop there with the old man stories, but you remember those little magazines, the real estate book magazines that were in all the sandwich shops? Okay, that was what is today online lead generation. We just didn't have anything online. But I had massive amounts of pages in there that I took out. And I used other people's listings and mine. If I ever found a house that sold, it might continue to run in that magazine for years. That was supposed to be funny. I was just trying to generate buyer leads. Why? You didn't want listings. And then when it got better, then today you just want listings. So markets will tell you if you're very focused on listings right now. So Bob, David, Lanier, you guys are pounding out a lot of calls every day to generate listings. There'll come a time when you won't, and then you need to pivot. The market hasn't changed yet. Lots of people have opinions that it's going to. It probably will. When? I don't know. And you don't know either. And all your friends that barely got out of high school but are macroeconomic experts, they don't know either. Okay? When it happens, then we'll pivot. Make sense? But it hadn't happened yet.
Question number 2, how do you invest in your business when you have no money to invest?
Now, that's a good question. I don't have any money, and okay. So we said we were going to be honest and transparent today. Okay, so I was there too, okay? There's a word, it's called risk. And some of you in the room are risk tolerant. Some of you, not very many. Most of us are risk intolerant. We don't like risk. It's like conflict. I hate conflict, and I try as hard as I can all day long to stay out of it. I used to be that way too. Now I don't. My wife accuses me of looking for the conflict. That might be true. Spices the day up a little bit. If you're risk intolerant, then you're never going to want to do this. How do you invest in your business when you have no money? You take risk. Well, I might not be able to pay rent and buy groceries next month. You might not. I don't have a magic answer for you on that. If you are risk intolerant, then you have conflict right now. Because as an agent, you are an independent contractor. You are a small business owner. You are your own business. And you don't want to invest in your business. Look around you. Does it look like I've invested? I got millions into this place. I'm all in. If y'all don't sell anything, I'm going to lose millions. It's called risk. How do you move from being risk intolerant to risk tolerant? You change how you look at money. Now look, this is not a political statement, okay? It's just an interesting concept. That's all it is. So if you ever read Donald Trump's book, and you don't have to like him to read the book, okay? Now let me just say that. People you don't like can still have a good idea or two. But in his book, he talks about money. And he just makes a statement, money's not a thing. It's not a person. It's not a member of my family. It's just zeros on a piece of paper. It's all it is. And when you start looking at money that way, risk becomes a little bit easier to manage. And I don't try to know. I don't try to know. You'll never know. Well, if I do this, it might not work. It might not. You might lose. You might win. That's why it's called risk. But I would encourage you to ask the question of yourself differently. The way I make decisions is it likely? If I did this and I spent this money or I invested this time or effort of myself, is it likely to work? Not is it guaranteed, because nothing is. Is it likely? And if the answer is, I don't know and nobody can help me make a good guess, or no, it's not likely, then I'm not going to do it. But if the answer is, yeah, it's likely, then I'm going to take a real deep breath, I'm going to swallow hard, and I'm going to do it. Could I lose? I could. But if you're an entrepreneur, if you're self-employed, if you own your own small business and you are unwilling to take risk, this is going to be a hard business for you. Now, I don't want you to take crazy risk. I don't want to swamp your boat. But at the same time, I do want you to come to view it like a little bit more like I do. It's a thrill ride. It needs to scare you. If it doesn't scare you, you ain't doing it right. It needs to scare you. I can't sleep. I wake up at 3 in the morning. I'm like, hey, join the club. If you are sleeping soundly and you don't wake up at 3 in the morning, you aren't doing it right. Now, I don't want you to swamp your boat, but you are a self-employed individual. You own your own business. You're either all in or you are not. And if you don't get your mind around risk tolerance, this is going to be hard. You're going to sit around waiting for guarantees, and opportunity after opportunity are going to pass you by. And I can tell you a whole bunch of stories of all kinds of stupid stuff. Looking back on it, it's stupid. And the money I wasted. Yeah, but then we would also have to talk about the things that turned out right. You can't have one conversation without the other. So yeah, this business requires you to be a little bit risk tolerant. And some of you are really struggling with that. But I will promise you that, and Greg would probably tell you the same thing, when you start accepting some risk, it's an amusement park ride. It will get you out of bed in the morning. It will, I promise you.
Question number 3. I'm working another job to support myself, but I want to transition to real estate full-time. What's the best way to do that?
That's a good question. Wow, we got rid of the Botox questions. These are good questions. We've run her off already. Here's how you do it. Quit the job. Quit the job. You'll sell houses. You won't have a choice. Lisa, you did this. When you and I met each other, you were working a full-time job. Lisa's now a $20 million a year producer. How'd you do that?
I got laid off, but she kept telling me to quit, and I wouldn't do it. Then finally,
I did. Every day I was like, quit.
I heard that so many times, but this job is costing you money. I was like, oh, no, I'm making money, but yeah.
Now listen to that. That's what I would tell her every day. This job you're working that you think you need to pay your bills with, it's costing you money. But how did you get to the point where you finally gave up on that job and made the living? How'd you do that?
So they kind of got rid of me because I did real estate full time, but, I would eventually have gotten there, I think within a month or two, but you just have to jump in and say, hey, when the point comes that you're not able to do the real estate you need to do, and you know you can make more if you took that time and put it into that, and you just have to jump in and say, I'm going to put all these hours I'm spending over here for somebody else, over here for myself.
So let me tell you the other part of that she's not telling you, because I watched her. You know how she did it? She worked her ass off. That's how she did it. She worked 2 full-time jobs at the same time. She didn't take any time off. I don't think she slept. She worked this full-time job, and she worked full-time in real estate. She had 2 full jobs. And while she was doing that, she worked her ass off. That's how you do it. Leanne, Lynn, when you and I met, you were working a full-time job and you transitioned into real estate. How'd you do that? Okay, so you've got two $20 million a year producers. Are you two glad that you did?
Yes.
Was that other job, when you look back on it now, Lisa, was that other job costing you money?
It was.
It was. It was. Well, I needed to pay the bills. Yeah, I get that. But you're not all in, and you're losing money. You're chasing small money and losing big.
At the time I went full-time, I also was paying Zillow $3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. You've stopped that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
But it served a purpose for them. I'm still working with those clients now.
Leanne, did you work your ass off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I also got a lot of clients from that job.
You did. They both sucked every ounce of it out before they finally got fired. That's how you do it. I have no other way for you to do it. You want to keep working this real job to make a little bit of money, and you will gradually transition into real estate, but you don't want a hard stop with no income coming in. I know. And you're about to go through something that you're not going to like while you're doing it, but you're going to love 10 years later. Because Leanne and Lisa can sit and tell you stories now. They can tell you old lady stories. Well, when I was your age, I was working 2 jobs. And I walked to both jobs. And it snowed every day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what they're really saying is, I'm proud of myself. I did, didn't I? Oh, well, she'll get over it. They're proud of themselves. They are. And they worked their butts off while they were doing it. But there's no other way to do it. Either quit the damn job and go all in, or work 2 full-time jobs, and you will work harder than you've ever worked the rest of your life, and there's no other way to do it, but you'll be proud of yourself for doing it. And by the way, it gives you great stories to tell the 20-some-year-olds sitting up here in front.
How did you create balance in your life between business and personal?
You don't. What a bunch of bullshit that's being pushed at you guys. What a bunch of crap. Good luck, chase it. If you find balance, please come tell me. I would love to watch. There's no balance. Some of you have families at home, and you're trying to be a mom, and you're trying to be a professional, and a wife, and a daughter, and a friend, and there's not enough time in every day. There's not. And you keep thinking that there's something wrong with you because you haven't found the answer to that. There's nothing wrong with you. There is no answer to that. You will never feel in balance. Like everything in an exact proportion, just right, so I can work while the kids are in school, and then when they get home, I can be home for them, and then I make lots of money, and we have all the money we need to lead the lifestyle. What a bunch of crap. That doesn't happen. You will miss stuff that you don't want to miss, and you'll regret it, or you will not make the money that you want to support your lifestyle. You will make compromises. You expect it from your customers. You ever have a customer that says, well, what I really want is that house on that lot at this price in that school district? And you go, well, that doesn't exist, so what combination of that are you willing to compromise with? Well, I don't want to compromise. You find me the perfect house at my price and I'll buy it. Well, it doesn't exist. And the perfect life doesn't exist. And people pushing balance at you don't know what the hell they're talking about. There is no balance. You just try to do the best you can all the time. And you have your priorities, and they're your priorities. They're not mine. You don't want them to be mine. You'll make a lot of money, but you won't have any friends or family. They're your priorities, and you have to know what they are.
How do I know what the right target audience for me should be?
So that's a pretty good question. Look, I think there's a path to success for everybody in this business. And some of you are sitting here right now wondering there might not be a path to success. You feel stuck, lost, meandering. No, there's a path to success for everybody. Your path might not look like somebody else's, and it may not happen in the same timeline that it happened for other people. So Bob, where's Bob? How old were you when you got in, when you became a real estate agent?
25.
25. And what month of the year was it that you kind of started? May. And do you remember what your sales volume was from May to December that first year?
It was all, I think it was 10 million.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of you feel like a loser because you've been doing this for years and all the years added together don't add up to 10 million. No. I mean, good for him. But that won't be everybody's path. Does it mean he's better than you? No, it doesn't. You don't know the whole story. It's like everybody else. All these people you see in your life you think don't have any problems, you just don't know them well enough. Get to know him better. You won't be so impressed. He's got his shit too. Everybody does. It won't happen for you the same way. It could happen faster. It could happen slower. He settled in on a target audience right out of the gate, and it works for him, and he's stuck with it and gotten good at it, and some of you can't figure out what yours is. What's the right target audience for you? I'll give you a couple of clues. Number one, usually it comes from within the fabric of your life. Who you are, what you like, where you spend your time. So like if Greg was to get a real estate license, Bob, what might Greg's ideal target audience be if he was to decide to get his golf club? Why?
Because he plays a lot of golf.
He plays way too much golf, doesn't he?
And everybody loves him.
They do. I didn't quite figure that out until I saw his sippy cup, and then I got it. I go up there one day with Greg, and Greg says, I only have one drink a day. I'm like, well, good for you, dude. Thinking, isn't he grown up and responsible? Well, until you see the drink cup, which is like this big, like this, and everybody knows him. Everybody knows him. I don't know if everybody likes him or not, but everybody knows him. And he spends a god-awful amount of time there. See, that's part of his life. That might be a good target. That would be where I would start. The other place I might start is, what are you good at? So Bob, when he got into it, he calls for sell by owners and expired listings. And he's good at it. And it doesn't bother him that much. You might not like that at all. I don't blame you. It's god awful horrible. But it doesn't bother him. It doesn't bother Lanier or Jordan or David McGee. They'll do it. You might not be willing to do it. But everybody has a path. If you judge yourself against other people, you're making a huge mistake. You need to figure out what your path to success can be. And we'll just do that in my office. But it's got to be hyper personal. It's got to be you. If you try to be somebody else, you're not going to do it. Calling for sale by owners can make all the sense in the world. It can be very logical. But if you don't ever make the calls, it won't matter. And there's nothing wrong with you because you might not want to do that. There might be something wrong with them for wanting to do it, but nothing wrong for you. You just might be able to do something in a different way. Watch. Kim, Liz, what'd y'all do at Easter?
Easter egg hunt. Easter egg hunt.
Where?
In the meadow in Bushy
Hey, Bob, they had almost 90 families come to their Easter egg hunt. You ought to do some of that. See, they can do things he won't do. And they have fun doing it. They think it's... You guys have, what is the thing you have coming up? A doggy parade.
Dog parade.
A dog parade, Bob.
I wouldn't even do that for my own
Different strokes, different strokes. You got to find Casey, gaming community. Hey, David, why don't you get you some of that? Go,
I would suck at it.
Dragon Con. Wouldn't he be great at cosplay? Yes. What could David cosplay as? Man, I just think he ragged on you hard. But. Is that a compliment? It didn't sound like a compliment, did it?
I don't know until I see the character. I'll send it to you.
See, that's Casey's thing. I mean, that's over 5 million year to date. He's going to go over 10 million this year, aren't you? Say yes. Yes, you are. Yeah, but that's his thing. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about most of the time, but it's working well for him. Everybody has their path. You got to find yours. And it's got to be congruent with who you are.
So you were doing pretty well as an agent. Why did you decide to move away from listing and selling to managing a brokerage?
That's a damn good question. Does anybody remember why I did that? Because you're making a lot more money than I am. Bob, you're making a lot more money than I am. Yeah, you are. Okay, so if we go back to the beginning of this, one of the first questions are, how do you know when to pivot? Okay, so like I did this many times during the course of my career because I had to. Okay, so in the early 2000s, I had been doing a lot of for sale by owner expired listing stuff. In the late 90s, I had. And I'd gotten pretty good at it. But in the early 2000s, Greg was making a lot of shitty loans to a lot of people that shouldn't get them. Weren't you, Greg? Yes, he was. And I looked around and said, well, nobody's, and really in 2000, 2001, no agent in Atlanta was focused on foreclosure inventory. When I say no, there might have been a couple, but there wasn't really anybody. It wasn't a thing. The inventory was so low, it's like it is now. You'd have to be crazy to try to focus on foreclosures right now because there practically aren't any. And there's not going to be for any time in the near future. But back then, I could see Greg's making a lot of bad loans to a lot of very questionable people. This has got to go. And so I pivoted and said, I'm going to shift my focus and go after that. And it turned out to work really well. And I did that for the next 12, 13 years. And then in 2012, 2013, I said, well, Greg stopped making all these bad loans. And the origination quality of stuff now is really high. So this is going to dramatically change. I don't know when, but it's going to. So I need to do something else. Well, that something else was going to be retire because I'd sold over 10,000 homes in my career to that point. I didn't need to work anymore. And then I'm not a retire guy. Can you imagine being married to me and waking up and I don't have anywhere to go today? I would have my wife on KPIs, key performance indexes, right? And I'd have a dashboard of tasks for her to complete today. Yeah, she was a big fan of me not retiring. Well, what am I going to do? So I decided to do something I'd never done because a couple of reasons. I was bored. I wanted to do something different. I didn't have to work, so it gave me the luxury of doing something without the pressure of making money at it. And I don't like our industry very much. And sometimes you feel that in the way I talk about it. I don't. I have total contempt for it. I think somewhere along the way, real estate companies figured out how to make a lot of money whether you do or not. And they have. And you know how you do that? First, you keep your expenses really low. So there's a number of them these days that are pushing out, well, we're a virtual brokerage. That is another way of saying, yeah, we ain't spending any money. And then we're going to charge you fees. Fees, whether you sell anything or not, you have to pay fees. And a little bit of money times a whole bunch of people is a whole bunch of money. And when they figured that out, they all pivoted and went after it. And when I say all, go find me a real estate brokerage that isn't trying to do that these days. They all want to have 400 or 500 agents per office. If they have an office at all, they don't want a brokerage staff. One of these companies tried to buy my company in 2014. They have 3,000 agents in Atlanta. They have 4 brokers on call that sit in a room about the size of my office, and 3,000 agents calls rotate through 4 people for broker support. I got to see it, and they think they're the smartest people in the world. They giggle about it. I'm like, you don't have brokers out you got 30 some offices. You don't have brokers out in your offices? Oh, God, no. I'm like, really? Why? And they're like, well, they form relationships with people. I'm like, isn't that good? No, we can't have that. And by the way, this costs so much less. It's all about how much less stuff costs. Because if they can charge you fees and they can get enough of you, they can do really well. And I have total contempt for that. And if you notice, everything we do here is the exact opposite of that. We don't charge any fees at all. And we just sit around thinking of what else can, Dwayne says it this way, well, what else can we spend money on now? I'm like, well, give me 15 minutes. Because I don't have to make money off this place. I just want us to run a real estate company that you can plug into. So whatever you need, and it'll always be different depending on what phase of your career you're in. Sometimes you'll need and by the way, all I do is get compliments on you every day. Is she great? She is. Sometimes you're going to need help with your social media. Sometimes you're going to need help with your videos and marketing. Sometimes you're going to need administrative help. Sometimes you're going to need a kick in the ass. Sometimes you're going to need all that stuff. Sometimes you're going to want the van, sometimes you're not. But when it's there, you can plug into it when you need to. And I think that's what brokerages ought to be doing for their agents. So that's why we're doing this. Instead, all they want to do is charge you fees and do as little as they can. And I just don't think there's any need for that. I can fix Atlanta real estate in 15 minutes. I can. One thing. Give me a magic wand. I'm going to wave it over the industry and say, poof! You can only now make money when your agents do. If your agents don't make money, you don't make money. And that would change everything today. They would get vitally interested in you and your success. Right now, they are not. They don't care. They have figured out how to do well whether you do or not.
We appreciate you not retiring.
So does my wife.
What do you think the real estate market is going to do over the next couple of years?
I don't know. And I don't think it matters. So what I would say to you is what was said to me, which is true. Great agents thrive in all markets. And they thrive because they change and adapt to the market in which they find themselves. They don't sit around and bitch and whine about it. They don't procrastinate. They don't spend any time wondering about that at all. It doesn't matter. I sold homes when interest rates were 12%, and I sold homes when they were 3%. And when listings wouldn't sell, I got buyers, and when that changed, I got sellers. And you do different things. And you do them until they don't work, and then you change and you do something else, and nothing else matters. You have no control. You have no power. Your power is how you respond to things, not in what happens. So what's going to happen with the market? I think it's probably going to change. If I had to bet, I don't see a decline. I don't see prices dropping. I don't see sales plummeting. I don't think the sky is going to fall. I definitely don't think it's 2008 all over again. I think all that shit is clickbait. What I think is, they're probably going to keep playing around with interest rates and trying to figure out how to get things to calm down a little bit. I think they're probably going to introduce some type of pain onto institutional investors, because right now they're a big problem. So in the month of May, 34% of all sales in the Atlanta market were sold to institutional investors. A third of all sales were to Brookfield, Blackstone, American Homes for Rent, all these LLCs, unlimited money. They have unlimited money, and they have no sense right now at all. But you've seen this before in your life. Those of you that are old enough, you remember back to 2000 and the dot-com craze? All these companies whose stock, their cap rate on the market was going through the roof, but they didn't make any money. They didn't really have a product. They just had a concept and a website. And Wall Street loved that stuff back then. And then it crashed and they went away. I think some of that, I think we're going to figure out how to cool these people off. This is not new. This has happened in different places. The most recently it happened in Toronto, where institutional investors were, the Toronto market 5 years ago was much hotter than anything we're experiencing today. And it was being driven by large institutional investors, foreign investment. And most of it was Chinese. And the Canadian government on a Thursday afternoon fixed that. They stopped it. They passed a law, which is in existence today, that only Canadian citizens can buy Canadian residential real estate. And that law went into effect on a Thursday afternoon, and Friday morning their market just calmed. Didn't decline, just you took all the funds out of play that didn't care what they paid for homes. And right now you see a lot of that going on, and they're competing against your regular home buyers to buy homes. And they have unlimited money, but your home buyers don't have unlimited money. So it's not a fair fight. I think somehow, I don't think the US government passes a law like the Canadian government does. I don't think it happens at a federal level. What I would expect you to see is more and more municipalities dealing with it, much like they're dealing with Airbnbs. Not in our community. I mean, we're not going to tell Airbnb they can't exist as a business. We don't do that in this country. You're just not going to do it in Roswell, Georgia. We're just going to make life really hard for you here. I think that's how it'll happen. It'll happen from the small local level up, not the big Washington level down. For you, you don't care. Whatever happens, you pivot and adjust and adapt to whatever's going on. It won't matter to you.
We've got the MSO now. What's next?
Where's Dwayne? He just has a damn heart attack.
A helicopter.
Who thinks that's a good idea? I'd love that.
I had someone request the bathroom piece to do there. So.
How cool would that be? That's actually a good idea. Then you could do aerial showings. Wouldn't your customers like it if you could fly them over the property that they were going to buy? Dwayne! One of the things that I try to do here that I would encourage you to do in your business is constantly be saying this to yourself. Constantly. Always. It keeps you up at night. It wakes you up in the middle of the night. It's the first thing you think about when you get up in the morning. And what else could I do? And what else could I do? Okay, we've got the MSO. I don't think anybody else has. If they have, I haven't seen it. That's pretty cool. Jeff, you're using it this afternoon for showings. We need to start that thing up about now and start cooling it off. That thing is hard to cool down when it's 100 degrees. Okay, we've got it. And what else could we do? Okay, so here's a couple things that are coming. You'll see them. Number one, with the launch of MoxieWorks is our next CRM. Okay, now let me just tell you this. Okay, is MoxieWorks going to be the salvation of everything? It is not. Look, CRMs suck, okay? There's not one that's perfect. If you have one that you think is perfect, that's nice. It probably fits neatly into your business. But CRMs were all invented by somebody who was frustrated that the ones that were available wouldn't do what they wanted it to do, so they created their own, and then they try to sell it to everybody as the CRM that does everything. None of them do everything. Do I think Moxie is going to be fine? I think it's going to be good. I temper your expectations. I think it's not going to save you. It's just a CRM, and it does some other cute little things. But along with that, we're going to upgrade our email server. Now, change. Oh my God, what's this mean? It's not going to mean too much. It's not going to mean hardly anything to you. You won't even know it's going on, except things will work faster, and you'll have more storage capability. There'll be some other little enhancements that go on there, but that's going to happen this summer. We need to do that with the MoxieWorks launch, and we needed to do it anyhow, just to update. How many people have noticed that the gym next door, Lanier, you've noticed?
Yeah.
There's not a gym next door, is there?
It's time to work out.
In front of it.
Yeah, you can park anywhere you want over there, but there is no more gym next door. And sometime in the next 30 days, we're going to knock a hole in the wall in Casey's office and put a doorway in there, and we will be moving into that space. What it's primarily going to do for us is give us 19 private offices around the perimeter, which is just like this perimeter. So they'll all have floor-to-ceiling windows like this, 19 of them, okay? So sell more houses so you can get one of those, okay? We'll get some more meeting rooms. For those of you that somehow, for some reason, need a shower at your real estate office, we will have showers over there because it's just simply more expensive to take them out than it's worth. We need showers? What the hell are you doing, Warrell? Okay, well, I didn't know we needed a shower, but if you do, Chris, you might.
Take a poll and see how many people will use the shower?
No, because it's more expensive to take out than to leave there. So we'll use it as a storage closet if nobody really needs it. And we'll have some more meeting rooms. Right now, those are the things that are on the agenda. But I don't want to come up with all the good ideas. So if there's something that you can think of that would help you sell more homes in less time, I want to hear it, no matter how crazy you think it is.
A helicopter.
A helicopter, that's not a bad idea. So I want to hear the ideas. So if you think of them, don't worry about what it costs. Don't worry about how crazy it is. The crazier it is, the better, okay?
Okay, I thought I would be much more successful by now in real estate than I am. I really don't understand why. What are your thoughts?
You don't work. I'm sorry, that was all for me. I'm just having fun up here. I think most people, if you're getting out of pre-licensed class right now, you know what they tell you? 87% will not be in the real estate business in 24 months. 87% won't be. The average agent in Atlanta sells 3.1 houses a year, takes home less than $31,000 a year. I think nobody got into the real estate business to make $31,000. That's what I think. But what the hell is going on? Well, number one, almost every real estate company in the industry has abandoned you and failed you, number one. And the training that's being offered out there sucks. It doesn't help you sell more homes in less time. It's just checks a box. If you're feeling lost and you're not quite sure what's going on, you and I need to sit in my office and I'll tell you the truth. I will. You might not want to hear it, but I'll tell you. Some of you are nodding at me right now like, oh, hell yeah, he'll tell you. I will, because I think that if I really care about you and if I really want to help you, then sometimes I have to encourage you, right? And sometimes you have to be confronted with some harsh realities. If you're stuck right now, you're part of the 87%. And the odds are, here's what I think is going to change in residential real estate. The real estate agent is not going away. You are not. I am convinced of it. There's people that say that stuff do not understand what they're talking about. The role of the agent is not going away, but many of us are. Many of us are. Because I think that within 5 years, what Bob and Lisa and Leanne and Casey and Rip are doing is going to be common. I think agents selling 50 to 100 homes a year is going to be common. There's just going to be a lot fewer agents. And I think the ones that are hungry and aggressive and have a target audience and a strategy that they're implementing every day, I think you're going to do fine. As a matter of fact, Kim, Liz, I get ready to make a lot more money. Yeah, I would. I think you're going to. I think there's a handful of you that are about to make money that is slightly embarrassing. And I think 85 to 90% of us are not going to make any money at all, which I think is already going on. And to that 85 to 90%, I'm going to say, we need to have a talk, because you're not going all in. You're dipping your toe. In the days of being a real estate agent and just selling houses to your family and friends, I think those days are coming to an end. Because there's too many people like Lisa she wants her business and she wants yours. Now, she'll be nice to you and hug you and go to lunch with you today, but then this afternoon she's going after your business. And there's more and more people like that that are going, really, you can make what selling houses? I could make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Then I'm quitting this bullshit corporate job. I'm going to go do that. And these people are coming with skill, drive, and passion. And if you are not, they're going to take your customers from you. You're just never going to get a note telling you that they're doing it. You just wake up one day and go, I'm not selling any houses. What happened? Lisa took your customers from you. And she will too.
Sorry.
How big will our company get?
I don't think it's about big. So Camille and I talk about this all the time. It's not about big. We might get smaller. If you paid attention in the last month, we are getting a little bit smaller. It's not about big. It's about strong. Strong's the word. So ideally, we're just a collection of full-time, driven, passionate professionals. And we feed off of each other. And your motivation inspires me. And the trick that I saw you do, I'm stealing and I'm going to do it too. And we're all going to do it. We're going to get stronger. And the weak ones can go work somewhere else. Because we're not a company that wants to hold your real estate license. I got no interest in that at all. I got no interest at all in holding your license and collecting your shitty $100 a month fee. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to be a company that helps you sell more homes in less time and give you the help and resources for you to plug into to do that. And if you want that, and that's what I want to do. And if you don't want that, there's 1,000 other places out there that are willing to do whatever it is you want them to do. Hold your license and get cheap. You got it all figured out. You don't need any help or resources. Okay. Well, there's a lot of that out there. Good luck. Let's see how that works. We want to be a place where if you need a personal assistant, you don't have to go hire and manage and pay and deal with the personal assistant. You plug into it when and if you need it. You need social media help, you plug in and you take advantage of it. When you don't need it, you don't use it. But it's all there for you. You didn't have to create it. You don't have to manage it. You don't have to pay for it, because that's the stuff. You know, there's one, I'll finish, but there's so much noise out there coming at you guys right now, more than I've ever seen before, and it's all meant to distract you. And I keep coming back to this. When you can make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per transaction, Bob, you have a $7.5 million home buyer right now.
I do.
How much are you going to make off of that transaction?
A lot.
Everybody in the room is doing the math right now in your head, right? A couple $100,000 off of one sale. When you have those kind of opportunities in front of you, why are you paying attention to why pay attention to anything else? If I can make $10,000, $15,000 per transaction, why do I want to have a conversation that has anything to do with anything other than how many transactions can I do? Because everything else is chump change. It's small fry, small time stuff. It's petty money. Well, then why is there so much talk about it? Because if that's what you're selling, if you're not really trying to help Hillary, if I'm not really trying to help you sell more homes in less time, then I don't want you paying attention to that issue. I want you paying attention to whatever else it is, right? Stock. Let's pay attention to stock. Well, what kind of shares are they? Oh, you mean all stock shares aren't the same? No, they're not. What are they worth? Whatever I say they are one day. And when can you redeem them? Whenever I decide you can. What are we talking about? When you can make $10, $15, $20, $200,000 per transaction, why are you having a conversation about anything other than how many transactions can I do? Because that's the only thing that matters, and everything else is chump change. I don't know. There's so much noise out there, and it's so easy to get distracted. But you're taking your eye off the ball. Just pay attention to the one thing that matters. How many people can you help buy or sell a home this year? And everything else is a ridiculous conversation I don't even want to participate in. We done? Last one?
More. This is a burning question. A lot of people asked it. Is Nicole your favorite employee?
Wow, who sent me that question?
A lot of people.
A lot of people. I'm trying to think of the line of the movie right now. Whoever saw the movie The Shack? Oh, I remember what it is. Yes, I am especially fond of you. I am especially fond of you. Yes. I don't know how else to answer that. Usually I want to mix these up and have a lot more interaction and a lot more diversity in this. I wanted to get these cleared out of the way. Hopefully there's been something here today that helped you, okay? You will find this business is almost all about mindset. It's just about how you think about things. And learning to think about things in the right way is the empowering part of this business. So most of you hopefully feel like when you have coaching sessions with me, we don't talk too much about pushing buttons and pulling levers, right? We talk about mindset, your approach to things, because that's the separator. Keep this in mind, and this is a good place to stop, okay? The best thing I've ever heard is this: the difference between successful and unsuccessful agents. Successful agents just simply do what other agents are unwilling to do. If you're stuck in your career and you're wondering why somebody else is selling more homes than you are, they're willing to do things you're not willing to do. Don't wonder about it. Come meet with me, I'll tell you. Why did Bob sell 30 million last year by himself? He's willing to do things you aren't willing to do. That's the big separator between people. He's not smarter than you. God knows he's not better looking. He can't dance. He can't sing. What's he do? He does things you're not willing to do. And the important part about knowing that is you can change that when you want to. You can change that right now if you want to. You start changing your mindset and your approach to the business and watch how the business changes. When, as an agent, my first couple, 2-3 years, I wasn't making any money at all. I had bills, I had IRS, I had every problem you have. I tell you all the time, any of you having problems with the repo man coming after your car, come see me. Nobody's better at avoiding the repo man than me. I might not know a lot, but I can help you beat the repo man, okay? I was there. I lived it. Greg was there. He saw it. I was not a good agent. I wasn't doing anything. What changed? I decided one thing, and everything changed within 2 weeks. I decided to start treating my business like a business. That's all I did. That's the only change I made. Notice I didn't go to a conference or take a class or learn a new skill. I changed my mindset. I decided that it was time to grow up and it was time to start running my business like a business. And the day I did, everything changed. Everything. Very quickly. And it would for you too. The day you start treating your business like a business. Okay? We got cupcakes and donuts and it's lunchtime, so sugar out, people. Okay, let's go to work.